It's Monday, January 27th, 2025. Meet your new Christian nationalist defense secretary. The deportations will continue until morale improves, and Trump and Vance deceived the country, and why I and many others like me are overjoyed about it. Next on the AM Update.
All praise and glory to God. His will be done. And the three principles I talked about are what we will bring to that Pentagon. Restore the warrior ethos, rebuild our military, and reestablish deterrence.
Well, let me give a message to the Pope guy. I'm a lifelong Catholic. I was born Catholic. I've been through Catholic doctrine. Look, the only country in fixing the Catholic Church.
I'm not going back to Haiti.
Well, he's wrong. He's going back to Haiti.
Trump, you feel me? Little Biden forever, bro.
The benchmark of national success is not our GDP number or our stock market, but whether people feel that they can raise thriving and healthy families in our country.
On this vote, the yeas are 50 and the nays are 50. The Senate being equally divided, the Vice President votes in the affirmative, and the nomination is confirmed.
That is Vice President J.D. Vance casting the decisive vote to confirm Pete Hegseth as Defense Secretary. More on that in just a moment. But first, President Donald Trump pushed back on Colombian President Gustavo Petro on Sunday after Petro's regime refused to allow U.S. deportation flights to land in his country. The U.S. had sent 2 flights of Colombian illegal aliens from the U.S. this weekend as part of Trump's burgeoning deportation program. Petro argued on X that the U.S. cannot treat Colombian migrants as quote-unquote criminals, leading to that backlash from Trump. Trump says he's ordered a 25% tariff on all goods coming into the U.S. from Colombia, a tariff that will rise to 50% the week after. He also ordered a travel ban and visa revocations for all Colombian government officials, including their allies and supporters. Just about a half an hour after Trump made that announcement, Colombia's president backed down and said, actually, we've got a few airplanes we can send and we'll pick up our illegal aliens ourselves. Just a wild story that unfolded over the course of about an hour on Sunday afternoon. And what is the Colombian president saying about his country? What is he saying? He doesn't want to take back his own citizens because his country is so poopy? That is absolutely ridiculous. But this is what it looks like when America First is actually America First. Donald Trump spoke and acted with a big stick. And Colombia's little crazy socialist president tucked tail within about a half an hour and capitulated. As Pete Hegseth was confirmed 51-50 as your next Secretary of Defense after a few Republican Senate detractors voted against his nominations. Those would be Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, and Susan Collins of Maine. That's water under the bridge. Not really. Now, as Hegseth was sworn in on Saturday morning after the confirmation on Friday night, here are some of his comments in the immediate aftermath.
All praise and glory to God. His will be done, and we're grateful to be here. And as I said in my hearing, it was Jesus and Jenny. I would not be here without you, sweetheart. Thank you so much. I want to thank the President of the United States, our Commander-in-Chief, Donald Trump. We could not have a better Commander-in-Chief than him. It is the honor of a lifetime, sir, to serve under you. We look forward to having the backs of our troops and having your back in executing peace through strength, in putting America first, and in rebuilding our military.
So how do you do that? Pete Hegseth went into greater detail.
We will put America first. We will bring peace through strength. And the 3 principles I talked about are what we will bring to that Pentagon. Restore the warrior ethos in everything that we do, rebuild our military, and reestablish deterrence. We don't want to fight wars. We want to deter them, as you said, and we want to end them responsibly. But if we need to fight them, we're going to bring overwhelming and decisive force to close with and destroy the enemy and bring our boys home.
Couldn't be more happy about that pick. I'm so excited for Pete Hegseth as Secretary of Defense. I'm even more excited for the brave and patriotic service members of every branch of our United States Armed Forces. And I'm even more excited, though somewhat trepidatious about the future. I'm really proud of Donald Trump's online army because it was really them that did not allow the Senate, see that as Joni Ernst and others, to set the precedent that we're just going to be able to Kavanaugh every single one of Donald Trump's nominations. Because you'll remember, while Hegseth was kind of blowing up a little bit, while all of that Oppo research was dumped against him, probably coming from Republicans with friends like these, but while all of that was going down, Donald Trump was pretty silent. And it was his online army that was really, really pushing back hard. and pushing for Pete Hegseth for Secretary of Defense. So I'm really happy that that precedent wasn't set. But I think this might signal very tough times ahead for some of Donald Trump's other nominees. If you couldn't get Mitch McConnell to just say yes to Pete Hegseth, he had to virtue signal his no vote, I think after Tillis voted aye. That's gonna signal some tough times for people like RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, and others. Over the weekend as well, Kristi Noem was confirmed as the new Secretary of Homeland Security, 59-34. John Ratcliffe late last week was confirmed for CIA Director by the Senate in a 74-25 vote. Well, the deportations will continue until morale improves. What you're about to hear is a multi-billion-dollar soundbite. Fox News joined Immigration and Customs Enforcement, one of their highly specialized task forces outside of Boston, late last week for a deportation raid of violent criminals. Listen to what happened and one of the Haitians that they caught.
We are targeting very violent threats to our community.
I'm not going back to Haiti.
One of those threats is this illegal alien from Haiti. ICE says he's a gang member with 17 criminal convictions in recent years.
Trump, you feel me? Little Biden forever, bro. Thank Obama for everything that he did for me, bro.
You could not get the whole of Hollywood to produce something more valuable than what you just heard. Fox News coming along with cameras and reporters for an Immigration and Customs Enforcement raid. They find a Haitian with 17 priors. And the Haitian says, I'm not going back to Haiti. F Trump, Biden forever. Thank you, Barack Obama, for everything you did for me. If that is not featured in every single Republican congressional gubernatorial candidate's ad spots, then you just don't want to win. I saw that come in the other morning, and I could not believe, again, does Donald Trump tiptoe through the raindrops the first week? This happened in the first 3 days of his administration. You got a soundbite like that justifies and will perpetuate your deportation program. That is incredible stuff. That Haitian that you heard there said, I ain't going back to Haiti. I ain't going back to Haiti. Well, Tom Homan's got news for him.
You see that video. I'm curious. What do you think?
Well, he's wrong. He's going back to Haiti. I tell him that.
I appreciate Tom Homan, our border czar's candor at all time. Thousands of U.S. troops are being ordered to the southern U.S. border with Mexico. Roughly 2,200 active duty forces at the border as part of the Joint Task Force North, the U.S. Northern Command's border mission based out of El Paso late last week and really all throughout the week. Not only the Pope, but some U.S. bishops are sounding their woke alarm bells on Donald Trump's plans to deport these violent illegal aliens and a lot of other non-violent illegal aliens. Border czar Tom Homan was interviewed on Newsmax and said the Pope and others can get out of here with that nonsense.
I want to ask one final question. The Pope this week said that it's a disgrace what we're now doing with this new government, deporting all of these people. We've got, obviously there's going to be a lot of media searching for the sad stories here, trying to turn public opinion against this operation. What's your message to the American people as you guys do this work?
Well, let me give a message to the Pope guy. I'm a lifelong Catholic. I was born Catholic. I've been through Catholic doctrine. Look, he only concentrates on fixing the Catholic Church, first of all. He's got big problems there. And in the Vatican, they have a wall around the Vatican. And if you illegally enter the Vatican, the crime is serious. You'll be charged with a serious crime, be jailed.
Yeah.
So he can protect the Vatican where he lives. He can build a wall where he lives. Where American people are not allowed that? No. Securing the border saves lives. He needs to understand that when we secure the border, when less people come, less women get raped by the cartel, less children die in the river, less Americans die from fentanyl overdoses. He ought to stick to it. He ought to stick to the Catholic Church and fix that. That's a mess.
Wow. That is some incredible messaging there from Tom Homan, completely obliterating Pope Francis's messaging, saying that actually national sovereignty is a quote-unquote disgrace. That's what Pope Francis is saying. And Tom Homan just nukes that. What you're going to tell us? You're going to tell us that we cannot have a border while you have a wall, and you will charge anybody who comes through that wall illegally around the Vatican with a serious crime, and we can't get rid of rapists? We can't get rid of violent offenders? Get out of here with that. Wonderful messaging from Tom Homan. Great stuff there. But that wasn't all on the border front. Here's J.D. Vance with CBS Face the Nation and Margaret Brennan. Brennan thought that she had cornered J.D. Vance on the topic of immigration. Listen to this.
Well, this is a country founded by immigrants.
Oh, got you there.
This is a unique country.
This is a very unique country, and it was founded by some immigrants and some settlers. But just because we were founded by immigrants doesn't mean that 240 years later that we have to have the dumbest immigration policy in the world.
See, this is the topic of air analysis today. We don't have to accept losers to represent us. This is incredible. 1 week in, absolutely napalming every narrative. I love it. I can't get enough of it. Donald Trump is wrong. I'm not sick of the winning. Closer to it than I was before. This is incredible stuff. And I wish sometimes that this AM update had a video element to it, because you could see Margaret Brennan on CBS, Face the Nation. You could see her look of disappointment after Vance mogs her. Vice President just says, yeah, we might have had some immigrants who founded this country. That doesn't justify an insane border policy 240 years later. She thought she'd really gotten him. She had not. When we come back, we have not even started with the good news. Trump shares a few stories he started to learn about his predecessor, and the CIA changes its mind on the Wuhan lab. That's next.
Hey everyone, my name's Mike, and this is a message for all the other feds out there that are stressed, worried, unsure of the future. I'm going to put it out there. Please feel free to reach out. This is my 26th year in the government.
That is the voice of a federal bureaucrat for 26 years on TikTok, talking about how he's stressed about having to go back to work in person. And if you feel the same way, if you're stressed out, you can do that as well. And then there's this story from Politico. Check out this headline. I am terrified. Workers describe the dark mood inside federal agencies. President Donald Trump's executive orders targeting the federal workforce have injected a fresh wave of anxiety among employees across the bureaucracy, stoking fears the president is coming for their jobs. I can't get enough. Just a few days into Trump's second term, this is from Politico, some federal workers are contemplating quitting. Oh no, don't do that. Others are preparing to file grievances with their unions or moving communications with each other to secure platforms like Signal. Some, fearing they'll be caught up in the White House's purge of diversity programs, are leaving their names off memos and documents they worry could be labeled as DEI adjacent. As federal employees search this week for clues within the orders to see how they'll be affected, a staffer with the Environmental Protection Agency said they were cleaning out their inbox and waiting for information about early retirement and buyout programs. The worst people in this country, the leeches, and I'm not talking about the service members, first responders, police officers, military members, they have a rightful claim to your tax dollars. I will plant my flag there. The federal bureaucrats, which is who we are discussing right now, they're some of the biggest leeches and parasites in society. All of their phony baloney jobs are lost leaders that you are paying for, and you will pay for here in about 2 months, with your tax dollars. And all of those people are freaking out and stressed. And a lot of whom are getting fired. Like these guys. Again, I told you the good news hadn't even started. Approximately 17 inspectors general, were fired without notice via email. That's according to USA Today. This happened on Saturday. USA Today said the inspectors general are independent watchdogs within agencies who investigate and disclose waste, fraud, and abuse. Those fired Friday include inspectors at the Pentagon and Departments of State, Veterans Affairs, and Interior, which oversees marine oil and gas leases, as well as Indian Affairs, and the fired official who spoke on condition of anonymity because of the sensitivity of the situation said that the heads are rolling. So again, Donald Trump, his new administration, completely laying waste to the administration that he inherited. And guess what? This is righteous. He's saying you fired to everybody who is adjacent to DEI or close confidants with the outgoing Biden administration. He can do that. He can do that. At a rally in Las Vegas over the weekend, Donald Trump told a couple of funny stories, or at least he did have some funny stories. He found them amusing anyway. You hear him laugh a couple of times here, which is rare, about Joe Biden and world leaders. Listen to this.
Our country was on the verge of some of the very bad things, and bad things were happening. And now there's light not only over America. I've heard it from even our enemies. They call up and they say, sir, we hate you. We do hate you, but there's light over the world right now. They hate me. Some of them hate me. If they liked me, you got a problem, right? They like Sleepy Joe. What's not to like? You know, they'd call up. It's funny. I was told today by one of the big leaders of the world, would call for a telephone call with the President of the United States a year ago. And they'd say, we'd like to speak with, who is this? It's the head of Germany, the head of, name it, the head of France, the name of any country, it didn't matter. He would never pick up the call. They'd say, he'll call you back in 2 months. 2 months. He has his schedule. He's extremely busy sleeping. No. Macron of France, he'll call you back in 2 months. So 2 months comes along and there's no call. They'd say, he didn't call. The stories are, I mean, these stories are not very exaggerated. I want to tell you, they're a little bit for laughter, but, you know, it's only for laughter. The fake news will say, oh, he exaggerated. It was only 1 month, you know.
Can you believe that we had a commander-in-chief? That is absolutely believable, and I really do believe what Donald Trump is saying there is true. Would never take phone calls from world leaders. It's been 1 week, and it's like we forgot. We recovered the old magic. We forgot what it was like to have a leader in charge who's actually sentient. Like, that's actually allowed. The CIA has changed its assessment on the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic, now favoring the lab leak theory. Under its new director, John Ratcliffe, the agency released an assessment on the origins of COVID-19. The review was ordered by former President Joe Biden's national security advisor, Jake Sullivan, toward the end of Biden's time in office. Analysts made the assessment with quote-unquote low confidence, despite former CIA Director Bill Burns, who remained agnostic on the origins, telling the agencies it needed to look closer at existing evidence again and come down on one side or another. The agency has maintained for years it did not have enough intelligence to conclude whether COVID originated in a lab or wet market in Wuhan, China. Despite the new assessment favoring a lab leak, there is no indication of new evidence. In a press release, the agency said the CIA assesses with low confidence that a research-related origin of the COVID-19 pandemic is more likely than a natural origin based on the available body of reporting. CIA continues to assess that both research-related and natural origin scenarios for the COVID-19 pandemic remain plausible. So now the CIA says low confidence, but it says it favors the lab leak origin for the coronavirus pandemic back in 2020. Let's take a brief walk down memory lane, shall we? Courtesy of Drew Holden, at Drew Holden 360. Here is how pernicious the reporting was when it came to the lab leak hypothesis back in 2020. Washington Post. Senator Tom Cotton, keeps repeating a coronavirus conspiracy theory that was already debunked. That was the famous New York Times op-ed that Tom Cotton published. New York Times, Senator Tom Cotton repeats fringe theory of coronavirus origin. CNN Politics. Tom Cotton is playing a dangerous game with his coronavirus speculation. USA Today fact check. Did the coronavirus originate in a Chinese laboratory? Fact check, false. National Geographic, Fauci. No scientific evidence the coronavirus was made in a Chinese lab. Forbes. No, COVID-19 coronavirus was not bioengineered. Here's the research that debunks that idea. CBS News. Dr. Fauci again dismisses Wuhan lab as source of coronavirus, and on it goes. That was the reporting back then. Now the CIA says it prefers the lab leak theory. You see the firings in the federal bureaucracy. You see what has happened to legacy media and continues to happen to legacy media. They continue to go down the tubes. These things could not happen to more deserving people. Even more good news, guys. Target is rolling back its Target is rolling back its DEI programs. Retail giant Target will be rolling back its diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives in pattern with many other corporations across the United States of America following the election of President Trump. In a statement on its website, Target said, quote, "Throughout 2025, we'll be accelerating action in key areas and implementing changes with the goal of driving growth and staying in step with the evolving external landscape. We will continue to monitor and adjust as needed." Coinciding with this news is the news that Target will no longer be participating in the Twin Cities Pride Parade, as they have done for many, many years. As a buddy of mine in Minnesota told me over the weekend, the Pride Parade in Minneapolis, the Twin Cities, or Sodom, as he called it, that's like Target's Super Bowl. So it's really big news that they're not actually going to be participating in the Pride Parade anymore. Again, the vibe shift is real, and it is spectacular. All right, coming up next, President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance lied about something on the campaign trail, and why I am overjoyed about it. That's coming up next.
Hello to everyone at the March for Life. It's a pleasure to speak to you from the beautiful Oval Office. That's where we are right now, the magnificent Oval Office. And thank you for turning out once again to show your extraordinary love and compassion for the unborn. Each year, Americans of every age, color, and background travel to our nation's capital by the tens of thousands to stand up for precious little babies who cannot stand up for themselves. I am proud to be the first president ever to have joined you in person. As you know, this annual march started 52 years ago on the first anniversary of the disastrous ruling known as Roe v. Wade. That unconstitutional decision took power away from the states and the voters, kicking off 50 years of division and anger. But thanks to your tireless work and devotion across 5 decades, that historic wrong was set right 3 years ago. I was so proud to be a participant. 6 courageous justices of the Supreme Court of the United States returned the issue to the state legislatures and to the people where it belongs.
That was Donald Trump's address to the March for Life over the weekend, fresh off of having pardoned 23 pro-life activists convicted of Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act violations. I think Donald Trump and J.D. Vance deceived the country. They are not governing as pro-choice at all. We are at least back to the baseline of his previous administration, which is very pro-life. I think they deceived the entire nation. They deceived in the Corrie ten Boom, no, we're not hiding any Jews here type of way. Again, I've never been more happy to be more wrong. And when you hear messengers like J.D. Vance, you've already heard him a couple of times so far today. When you hear messengers like J.D. Vance address the March for Life in person, you really, really get the sense, deep in your soul, that this country is getting a chance that it probably doesn't deserve. Listen to these words from J.D. Vance addressing the March for Life in person over the weekend.
And I want beautiful young men and women who are eager to welcome them into the world and eager to raise them. And it is the task of our government to make it easier for young moms and dads to afford to have kids, to bring them into the world, and to welcome them as the blessings that we know they are here at the March for Life. Now, it should be easier to raise a family, easier to find a good job, easier to build a home, to raise that family in, easier to save up and purchase a good stroller, a crib for a nursery. We need a culture that celebrates life at all stages, one that recognizes and truly believes that the benchmark of national success is not our GDP number or our stock market, but whether people feel that they can raise thriving and healthy families in our country. And that brings me back to where we stand today. Earlier this week, President Donald J. Trump stood in the Capitol Rotunda and took the oath of office, becoming not just the 45th, but now the 47th President of the United States. And I know all of you helped. With the inauguration on Monday, our country faces the return of the most pro-family, most pro-life American president of our lifetimes. Now, this is the man who delivered on his promise of ending Roe, giving us a monumental, earth-shattering decision in Dobbs. The man who appointed hundreds of pro-life judges dedicated to defending the constitutional liberties of all Americans. And the man who supported pro-family policies like doubling the child tax credit, which happened during his first administration and which we're going to do so much more on in the second administration. Now he's back, and we're going to do it again.
And finally, air analysis. I don't know about you, but man, my soul really needed the last week. Of course, I know God is sovereign, whether Republicans or Democrats are in control. He's sovereign up there, and he's sovereign down here. And God's sovereignty over man's affairs is as steadfast as gravity and the sun rising in the east. But man, it's done me a lot of good for my soul, to see good men, or even complicated men like Donald Trump, doing good things and wielding power righteously. Because now for many years, my entire adult life, basically, I just keep going back to this feeling. I know God is sovereign, but could the good guys get a few W's down here at some point? Even during the first Trump administration, as many good things as he did, he was constantly being thwarted. But now it seems like we've got serious men doing some serious good and wielding their power righteously. Who knows how lasting this era will be. But it is so instructive for all of us that it is possible to do good in this world and in this country. And we can do as much of it as we possibly can in the time that we've been given. That's a lesson for all of us. So praise God. It's been a really fun week. I know there are going to be some disappointing weeks ahead. Hopefully not, but who knows? Maybe every week's going to be like this. But speaking for me personally, it's good to see the good guys post some W's down here. And we've seen a lot of W's over the past week. That'll do it for a Monday. Back at it again tomorrow. I'm Aaron McIntire, and this is the AM Update.